does. Nigeria faces a daunting challenge of food insecurity, and with more than 100 million citizens struggling to access nutritious food, the country's food security crisis demands urgent attention. Mechanized farming offers a viable solution to boost food production, increase efficiency, and ensure sustainable food systems. According to experts, Nigeria's food insecurity stems from various factors, including low agricultural productivity, inadequate infrastructure, and limited access to modern farming techniques. Smallholder farmers, who account for 70% of the country's agricultural output, rely heavily on manual labor and traditional methods, resulting in suboptimal yields. This perpetuates a cycle of poverty, hunger, and malnutrition. Good enough mechanized farming analysts say can revolutionize the country's agricultural landscape. They note that by introducing tractors, planters, and harvesters, farmers can increase crop yields, reduce labor costs, and enhance efficiency. Let's now turn to a sustainability expert in food and agribusiness, Osenaga Orokpo, to speak to food insecurity and how mechanized commercial farming will change the game. Good afternoon, and many thanks for joining us here on Arise News.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, Nigeria has long prioritized boosting agricultural productivity, yet food insecurity remains a persistent challenge. What are the systemic failures that have prevented past efforts at mechanization and commercialization from delivering lasting food security?
Mechanized farming is undoubtedly capital intensive, and to make it feasible, we must start by providing training and capacity building. So I think that's one major thing that institutions and of course different sectors need to focus on. What this will do is it will help farmers understand better how to efficiently utilize these resources. In addition, funding has remained a persistent challenge because there are different types of equipment. The farmers are across different areas. The population of farmers across Nigeria is large. And so farmers need to be able to access this funding. There's also the challenge of farmer readiness to receive funds. By that, I mean, how has the farmer built credit history to be able to access these funds, to be able to, in turn, access the equipment. So I see these three major issues as the bulk of the challenge. So what we have done, we have continued to launch programs. We have continued to get into partnerships to support farmers across the communities where we work to be able to access mechanizations and funding as much as we can.
Now, smallholder farmers make up the majority of Nigeria's agricultural workforce. How can the shift towards mechanized large-scale commercial farming be structured to avoid further marginalization and displacement of these small-scale producers?
So true, smallholder farmers make up over 70 to 80% of the farmers across Africa. And indeed, there are lots of issues that have made it really difficult to, one, assess these farmers, two, get the farmers ready to be able to assess mechanization. So in order for this marginalization to reduce, I think the very first thing is for structured financing programs to be implemented for the farmers. Again, these farmers are across different sectors. There are across different food chains. They're also at different levels of their farming business. So what I think we need to do is to look to deep dive into each component. Where is each farmer at this time? If you are into maybe 1 to 10 hectares, can we get funding for this type of farmers? Can we set up a different criteria which we may not set up for another farmer that's probably cultivating 30 hectares, 50 hectares? So I think the criteria needs to be different for financing. So that way would ensure that more and more smallholder farmers are able to access the funds. I think another thing that needs to come in here for mechanization mechanization is even different types of machinery. Different farmers, again, have different sizes, are different levels of cultivation. And so what a farmer that has 0.5 hectare needs may probably not be the same thing that, a farmer with 50 hectare needs. So monitoring and evaluation, I think, also plays a key role in helping us reduce level of marginalization. So if we have a very strong monitoring culture and evaluation culture across the programs that are being implemented, these experts can help us understand from where the farmers are, how they are doing with the equipment, what more they need, and it will further help fabrication of even better equipment to be able to address the real issues that the farmer has. I see that in some cases, farmers may necessarily not need harvesters. Their priority may be planters. So a good M&E structure helps us understand specifically where the farmer suffers the most. And that way we can target interventions towards that direction to be able to achieve real food security.
Fabulous response. Now, of course, when it comes to access to affordable financing, or access, I should say, affordable financing is a major impediment for Nigerian farmers, specifically smallholders. Beyond government interventions, what innovative financing models or public-private partnerships could help unlock capital for mechanization and productivity improvements?
I must be honest, over the last couple of years, there have been very brilliant programs, both for mechanization, for funds for weather seeds, and even labor costs, covering labor costs. I think there have been brilliant innovations being introduced, but, you know, to speak specifically to maybe what additional programs we could roll in to probably support these farmers, I would say more programs for training, more programs to specifically, one, train farmers generally, two, mainstream gender into the programs. I must now bring in the fact that we need to pay attention to the fact that not all women have access to lands, and even the ones that have access to lands, many of them are marginalized in different ways. So we need to now start designing the programs to address, one, for the general farmers, and number two, to see how we can help these women, or we can get these women involved in the entirety of the programs. There are times where we probably have to design a different structure for training, a different structure for financing. Like I said before, everyone is at different levels of their cultivation or of their farming journey. And so it's really important that there's a lot of money put into research also, research, M&E. What research will do for us is it will help us really deep dive. It will help us really get into these communities and take data. When we get enough data, we can then begin to address these programs one by one, address these programs region by region, address these programs crops by crops. So it's all about research, M&E, more women being involved in farming, and I must also specify more youths involved in the entirety of the scheme, because again, youth have there are youths who are really interested in learning different styles of, new machines that are working. Many of our older farmers may not necessarily be interested in it. They may still prefer a manual way of farming. But again, if you want to involve youths in farming, I think mechanized farming will go a long way. It has to be attractive for them. So that will also help more youths to be involved in the entirety of agriculture, particularly in Nigeria.
More women and more youths. We certainly hear your call, and we hope that it's one that is heeded too. Thank you so much for this insightful discussion. We appreciate your time. Sustainability expert in food and agribusiness, Osenaga Orokpo. It's been a delight having you here on Newsday. Thank you.